Your business needs help. 56.1 million employees are employed by small businesses in the United States, and 99% of all U.S. establishments are small businesses under 250 employees. That means that your business should be listening to the only podcast dedicated to small business success. That's Growth Success Radio, growthsuccessradio.com. Welcome to this week's episode of Growth Success Radio. Good morning and welcome to Growth Success Radio, episode 23. This is our sponsor appreciation show. And as you all know, the show is sponsored by Traeger Insurance. So today we show our appreciation for Traeger Insurance by grilling them. The show is also sponsored by Scott Gombar, a digital marketing agency. We're live every Friday, 10 a.m. Eastern. And if you want to listen to or watch past shows, they're all on growthsuccessradio.com. There's a missing episode. There'll be a quiz on that later this year. And if you want to win a Growth Success Radio T-shirt, the person who tweets and or shares to Facebook the most throughout the show using hashtag SuccessHacks will win a free T-shirt. Let me show everybody what that T-shirt looks like. Eugene's about to yell at me that I forgot to put my face on the screen anyway. But that's the T-shirt. Yep. And if you don't want to get it for free, you can always purchase one right from our site. Just go scroll all the way to the bottom of Growth Success Radio and you could purchase it there. Let me switch it to my pretty face.
Make sure you have your makeup on this time.
The makeup is on right over the beard. Eugene, I'm not going to let you tell us about Traeger Insurance just yet. I will in a moment.
I figured.
Maybe Mr. Traeger can tell us about Traeger Insurance. But I am going to tell you about Scott Gombar. Again, I am the owner of a digital marketing agency based in Central Connecticut, servicing clients throughout the United States. And digital marketing is just a means by which we bring highly qualified clients to your doorstep on the internet. I will, however, allow Eugene to tell us a couple of updates, or Josh, if you want to chime in here and tell us some updates in the insurance world.
I'll let Eugene handle this one. He does it pretty well.
He does it pretty well.
Not so much an update. I like to sometimes talk about insurance in general. So the future of insurance, especially on the personal line side, is all these companies are, my guess is within the next 5 years, are going to force people to install telematics in their car. So right now, usually companies are giving you a discount or a future discount for installing it. But I think soon it's going to be required within the next 5 to 10 years.
Makes sense. I mean,
yeah.
Lord knows I've had plenty of speeding tickets.
Well, data is power, so the more data they can get from people, the more power they'll have in terms of rating.
This is true. Data. He who holds the most data wins. Very true. Big data is the world now.
Make their whole career off data. Not career, but their whole business off data.
That's true. Google, a few. Facebook does it. Facebook is actually doing a really good job with data. I'm going to talk about Snapchat because it's been the hot thing lately. And if you're not on Snapchat, get on there, even if you're on there for business now, because there's quite a few business people on there now. But Snapchat, initially, when they started advertising, they went for these big corporations, you know, the CNNs, the Comcast, those kind of large corporations, and said, yeah, you can advertise on Snapchat, $750,000 a pop. Well, nobody's quite sure the reasons. Some suspect that it was just the initial offering. Some suspect they're not doing as well as people thought, but that price point has come down considerably to where supposedly some companies are getting it for free. Some are getting it for around $5,000 a pop now. So interesting to see where that goes. Do you think Traeger will put a spot on Snapchat?
We have one. I just have to use it.
No, I mean an ad.
You
guys got like $750,000 to spare, right?
Yeah.
With our back pocket.
Well, hey, you're the one that just came back from vacation, so I don't know. All right. So with me today, I don't know if Josh is laughing and crying. I don't know what he's doing over there. I can't tell.
Probably crying. Usually he's crying.
Crying.
Pretty much.
Uh,
Especially when the door's closed, usually it's crying.
Yeah.
as I said, today is Sponsor Appreciation Day on Growth Success Radio, and one of our show sponsors is Traeger Insurance. If you're interested in being a show sponsor, please email us off of the website. There's a couple of contact forms you can fill out. But Traeger Insurance is one of our sponsors, and Eugene, of course, is my co-host every week. And so today we're going to be interviewing Traeger Insurance about their business and why, if you haven't already, you should switch to Traeger Insurance as your insurance provider. Before we start, if you do have any questions, feel free to ask in the chat. Oh, you know what? I'm going to refresh because I don't see the chat. So give me 1 second, guys.
All right.
All right. I'm back, and I can see the chat. And, hey, we have somebody in UK, I think that is. All right. So, again, if you want to win a free T-shirt, tweet it out, share it over Facebook, include the hashtag success hacks. I still can't say it right. And the person who does that the most in this hour will be the one that gets the free T-shirt. It's a pretty cool T-shirt. No, Eugene, you can't win. I have to tell you this every week. You're a guest and a co-host. You can't win.
Why?
All right, so let's start with, how did Traeger Insurance come to be?
Whew. I'll let Josh handle some of that, and then I can chime in.
I think the story goes back a few years. I was working at a large insurance company and was getting recruited to go work at another large insurance company. And I'm very loyal to a fault to my clients. And the way that first company had paid their commissions, they gave us a nice check up front, but they gave us less than 1% of the renewal. So there was no incentive to really stay there and every single year help that client out when you're making like $10 on that client, but could go make, 100 or 1,000 on somebody else. And I didn't like that business model, but again, I was very loyal to my clients. So if I made the move, I had to make the move to make sense for both myself and my clients. And one of the things that was big for me was Eugene and I had always talked about becoming business partners in one way, shape, or form. Originally, when we met at UConn, it might have been me in insurance, him in real estate. But I kind of saw an opportunity when he was at a company that was going to be going away from Connecticut, and thought it was a good opportunity for us to work together sooner. So one of my last requests to go to this other company was that Eugene be brought on and we be business partners. And we worked there for a couple of years and really started to come up with a way that worked well for us to learn how each other works, strengths and weaknesses, so that we could fill in. And then it got to the point where at this company, again, it became about corporate agenda and not about the clients. So really, we took a big risk in leaving the corporate world to build a business that was focused around our clients and not just ourselves. And if we take care of our clients the way that we want to, our clients will stay loyal to us and will be taken care of in the end. And that's really how it became about. It was really about the client.
Eugene, you want to add to that?
Trying to think what I can add to that. Pretty much that's basically the story. We also just wanted to be our own bosses, do things the way we wanted to. Being from the corporate world, you learn a lot about what's wrong, what's right, and we just realized, hey, if we're going to make mistakes, I'd rather make mistakes for ourselves and not somebody else. Or if we do things correct, I'd rather do those things for ourselves. And so 2 years ago now, a little over 2 years ago now, we opened the door and here we are still today, thriving.
So why did you guys choose insurance of all things?
Well, that goes back when I was 19. I found out my girlfriend at the time was pregnant, and I took a semester off from UConn and then ended up going back as a commuting student. And in that semester off, I worked at a bank. But when I went back to the school, there was only, because I commuted up to UConn from West Haven, when I went back to school, there was only so many banker's hours you could work while still going to school full time. So I got recruited, and most of the people that were recruiting me was insurance companies. So it was kind of the same thing where you were doing planning for people, but it was in a more sales-oriented role. So it more just so that the timing of needing to be a full-time student and a job that you could do not only during the day, but, you know, from 6 o'clock to 9 o'clock at night as well.
Mm-hmm.
And Eugene?
And then for me, so as Josh mentioned, when he came on board to the other company, I came on board with him. So I was, at the time, I was, I think, 24, had no idea what to do. I only had one job out of college. So I'm like, let me give this sales, insurance, financial world a try. And then me personally, I didn't really appreciate it until I got into the business. So when we opened up our own, we decided to open our own insurance agency because him and I were both pretty proficient in it. And we thought that's where we can add the most value to people is in the insurance world.
Okay. Seems reasonable. I guess.
Yes.
I thought you went to college for booty blasting Bikram yoga, but that's all right.
No, that's my PhD.
Oh, all right. All right, so let's get to the nitty gritty now. It's time for the hardcore questions. Are you ready?
Yes.
Only one of you said yes.
I'm always ready.
Uh-huh. What makes Traeger Insurance different from other independent insurance agencies?
Do you want to go first this time?
No, you could go ahead. It doesn't matter.
I would say the first and most obvious thing is, one, the culture, and two, our age. The average age of an insurance agency principal is 41. And when we opened the doors here, both of us were under the age of 30. So we have 12 years to build a practice to get to the point where the average person is just starting theirs in Connecticut. So when we say it's about the client and longevity, you know, if we're signing somebody today, we're hoping they're going to stay with us for 30, 40 years. And the management and ownership of the agency will remain intact and the same for those 30 and 40 years, where it's not the same somewhere else. I think that on itself, on just a big level picture, is one avenue. And then two, us being younger allows us to adapt to changes in technology a lot quicker. Social media, the advancement of the agency management systems, all those kind of changes in technology that a lot of the older agencies are either slow to adapt or refuse to change, and we can implement them from day one.
Okay. I like that young entrepreneurial. I'm tongue-tied today. I just have all kinds of issues the last couple of weeks. I don't know what is going on. So Colleen said she's excited that it's No Pants Friday. Josh, do us a favor. Stand up so we can see that you're not wearing any pants.
Done.
All right. Josh is also in front of the window at his office. So the entire downtown Meriden area just saw Josh with no pants on.
Good. Maybe we'll get clients.
We'll, or you might lose some too. I don't know. Or maybe we'll see this on Meriden Patch later today.
There we go.
Yeah, I mean, you are right around the corner from the police office there.
Yes, we are.
What does it mean when you guys say independent agency?
So the best way to describe that is when you go get a mortgage, you can either go through your bank. So you go to Wells Fargo. They're only able to offer Wells Fargo. So if Wells Fargo is not a fit for you, that's it. You have to go somewhere else. So versus where you go to a mortgage broker, they have more banks that will vie for your business. So we're essentially the same way. When we take the client's information, we shop it around, and we get him the best price for the most optimal coverage possible, is how we work.
And
Also,
I was gonna
we
say I'd add
own the
to
policy versus other, like your state farms. They don't really own, the agent doesn't own the policy. The company owns the policy, whereas we own the policy. It's just underwritten through those companies.
And you wanted to say something, Josh?
Yeah, I would say the way I usually describe it to a client is we're not owned or operated by any specific insurance company. So there's no corporate agenda whatsoever here. It makes no difference to us if you go to, to mention our two biggest travelers or Safeco. We're not, they have zero ownership. They have zero control of anything we do here except for the business that gets written in their individual carrier. So whenever we recommend a company or a carrier, it's not because they're paying us extra to do so. They all pay us the same first year and second year. So there's incentive to make sure that we're doing exactly what's best for the clients every single year, just not that first year.
Awesome. So you essentially, by being independent, you're able to work with your clients more so than a corporate entity.
Correct.
Right. Pretty sure I screwed that up, but that's okay, right?
Yeah. It's only live. No big deal.
So I don't know why it is, guys, but I know a lot of insurance people. And every time I talk to an insurance person, agent, company, whatever it might be, and I tell them what I do, they run away with their head between their legs and like, no, like I'm the devil or something. I don't know what it is. Well, I know what it is. It's because there's a lot of regulations and rules when it comes to marketing insurance, anybody in the financial world, really. So what are some of the challenges that you guys face when marketing your agency?
I think that last sentence, you hit the nail on the coffin. It was, if you're tied to financials, is where we kind of got to run away, because you just can't do anything almost. The auto and home insurance and even the life insurance aspect, there's a lot looser regulations. So we can do or say a lot more. There's regulations or restrictions on what we can offer as gifts to clients. But as it comes to actual social media, we have a lot more freedom than the companies that have financial investments and securities.
Gene?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, regulations is one of it. Another challenge is just being just so many insurance people. So you're constantly trying to come up with different creative ways to market to make yourself different than the next agent, because you're essentially selling the same exact product as the other agent. So the marketing, it has to be a little different. So that's kind of the challenge we have, is trying to come up with different marketing that other agents haven't done.
Okay. One of those would be co-hosting a live podcast, wouldn't it?
Correct.
Yes. It's a good plan, I think.
Yes, it is.
So what marketing channels can you use and have proven to be successful?
Why can I make so loud today?
Go ahead, Josh. You can go first.
If we don't advertise so we're even getting in trouble on our website for saying that we're securities licensed. So we had to take that off just to allow our website to be, which has nothing to do with securities. All we did was say we were licensed, and we had to take it down. So if we don't advertise the fact that we are licensed securities reps, we pretty much can advertise anywhere. There's not a real restriction on that. As far as what has worked, we like to do more in terms of local events to get our name out there, because if we get business out of it, great. But if we can get more people understanding who and what we are within the community, our reputation will get higher and higher, which will just lead to more business later on.
So it's interesting you say community, so I'm going to come back to that in a second. Colleen asked a question, and Eugene is trying to get it clarified. But Colleen is the owner of Small Business USA, and their focus, and I'm a member, by the way, of Joint Ventures. Their focus is to help businesses grow without breaking the bank, essentially.
Yeah.
I mean, she could probably explain it better than I can. But so she says, we have a few insurance companies who are strongly focused on joint ventures. Have you done any of that?
I'm just trying to get clarification on what joint ventures, because there's a lot. So while she provides that, we are kind of in a joint venture, seeing as Josh and I are both securities licensed. We don't do that in-house with Traeger Insurance. We have that separated. So we have another firm that we've partnered up with to handle our securities business. So we do have that aspect as a joint venture. So I don't know if there's anything specifically Colleen was looking at that can better answer that question for her.
Okay, we'll come back if she clarifies further.
Does she want to come in as a guest?
Whoa, Josh, what are you doing here? You taking over the show?
It's our week, isn't it?
Next Friday, Josh Traeger is co-host and host of the Success Radio Show. She says she can't. That's code for her hair's a mess, probably.
So reading her comment, and I'm gonna, if I'm wrong, so correct me. Finding business have the same customers but different services. Yes, we do a lot of that in terms of financial planners, estate planning attorneys, mortgage brokers, real estate agents, other P&C insurance agencies, life insurance companies. We try to broker with everything. We have a relationship with a farmer's agent in Connecticut and a state farm agent so that we can help our clients and know what their products and services are. And if we can't do it, we refer them to them and vice versa. If they have clients that they can't help, they send to us because at least you know the client is getting taken care of.
I know Eugene is big on helping other businesses. I know Eugene better than I know Josh, but I know both of you guys are out there quite a bit, and so I'm going to come back to the community aspect. You guys are both really big on giving back to the community. Can you guys elaborate on that a little bit?
Sure. So we'll get involved on a lot of things that are local. So I like to get involved in the local. If Meriden doing something, so for example, there's a Meriden community day that our office mates across the hall have been doing for a couple of years. So we got involved in that. Sorry, my phone's ringing again. We got involved in, then I'm starting to get involved more with the March of Dimes for personal reasons. So anything that we can get involved, especially in the local community, we would love to do that as long as it fits our budget. Josh, you want to elaborate that so I can shut off my phone?
Yeah, I like, it's kind of like, politics. I think local politics affect our day-to-day lives more than what's going on in the national scale. So same way for community events. I like to do the local events that will really make a difference in our surrounding communities or affect somebody that we know. One of the charities I work very closely with is the Frank Fermento charity, which every year does a few events to help families who are dealing with a family member who is going through cancer research or who has passed away, and they help pay for funerals. It's a West Haven-based charity, but they like to do events in southeast Connecticut. And again, I just think if we give back, it shows that we're not just in it for ourselves and not just in it to make a lot of money. Again, every move we ever made going from one company to the next and then opening Traeger Insurance was about our clients. It was about other people. And I think that just ties into the community as well. We really want to give back, and we want our legacies at the end of the day not to be, oh, they were great businessmen. We want them to be that they were great people.
Awesome. That's a good focus to have for sure. So what are some of the rules and regs that you have to follow, especially when it comes to social media? You touched on that a little bit. Can you elaborate a little further on that?
On the financial side, if we're going to post something, it has to be either pre-approved for social media or has to be sent to a compliance officer to approve it. So on a financial investment security side, annuity product, they have to be pre-approved prior to us using anything on social media. Eugene, you want to add it?
Yeah, and that's from the insurance standpoint. If we're advertising for trade insurance, property and casualty, we can pretty much almost do whatever we want on that end aspect of it. It's more so on the security side. So that's why you don't see us, any of us, really advertise anything on the securities end, because we would have to get it pre-approved. Furthermore, what some of these companies want you to do is they pretty much lock your Facebook page, your LinkedIn, your Twitter, so that you can't really like or comment on anything. You pretty much just have to go with their already pre-approved material. So it gets kind of crazy if you do securities.
So Colleen's got a question here, but let me put it in a question format. Colleen forgot how to use Blab in the last few days. I don't know what's going on here. Now, so you said you can advertise, meaning you can run ads. So she's got to run, pick on me all you want. Okay. Meaning you can run ads, either organic or either digitally or well, I don't know why I don't have a scroll bar here. Either either digitally or through traditional lines of media like TV, radio, and print. But that's just for the property and casualty, right? So if there's any securities involved, then you have regulations that you're pretty much locked down. Now, are some of the insurance agents that I tell you I run into, a lot of them work for, one particular firm. Are they also regulated by that firm, that business?
Yes, so a lot of those, so we kind of have to separate the captives from the independents. So some of those captives have a securities piece. So for example, a clear agency is State Farm. So they're highly regulated because State Farm has a securities piece to it. They're regulated in terms of all their advertising, even for property and casualty, because they have a securities piece. So versus us, like independents, and that have the security side separate, we're more flexible in terms of what we can do and what we can say.
And just to add to that, going back to your question about being independent versus, as Eugene said, captive, not necessarily regulated, but talking about a State Farm or an Allstate that are a captive agency, you go to those carriers in the local agencies and you get that specific company. They're also restricted on the social media aspect of using only their carrier-specific advertising, where since we're independent, we can utilize the advertising that's already out there for each of the companies that we represent.
Gotcha. Yes, I've actually seen that with a nationwide insurance owner. Actually, Colleen's was a comment, not a question. So she just said your field, because of regulation, has to have very strong circles of influence. Finding the right 10 people, businesses, and nurturing them is one of the most important marketing strategies you can employ. Sounds like community involvement is paying off in your growth. This is of growing importance with younger buyers, so it's important to help people see what you're doing. You guys think you have a bigger impact on millennials or boomers or who?
That's an interesting question.
I would say the boomers are still more loyal than the millennials. Millennials, even our good friends sometimes, just don't have the loyalty. They have that quick attention span and will just as easily shop around to somebody else that we might not represent. Whereas the millennials or the baby boomers, if you take good care of them and help them every single year, they're going to be fiercely loyal to you as long as they see you working as hard as you promised that you will.
Yep.
Okay, I don't know that you guys clarified this yet. I don't remember hearing it. So Eugene and Josh, each one of you represents a specific side of the business. Can you talk about that for a minute? Because then I have a specific question for Eugene.
Sure. I basically run all things commercial, so that's dealing with business owners. Josh runs all things personal, so that's dealing with just a regular individual on their personal home and auto is what Josh runs, and I run, as I said, the commercial.
Okay, with that being said, Eugene,
Yes.
what are some of the ways you can protect a business or a business owner?
So there's a lot of ways. I mean, you first and foremost, you have to know the business, what you're doing, how you're doing, how much of what you're doing. Then I can figure out what holes you have for potential loss, and then most likely there's an insurance product to cover to help protect against that loss. So you start, just your basic liability. That's think of Bob Gould. If you slip and fall on the business owner's property or on his premises, that will protect you on that. When you move on, let's say an attorney, they have what we call professional liability exposure. If they do something wrong as a lawyer, that would cover them there. So there's a lot of different insurance products. It just depends on the business. So that's why I really try to understand when my first initial conversation with somebody is just basically learning about them, and then I can help figure out where the insurance products need to be.
Okay. From what I understand, one of the more common, what's the word I'm looking for? Pushbacks from business owners or common themes is that, well, that's probably pretty expensive coverage. I'm not going to get that right now. I can't afford it. As a matter of fact, I overheard a conversation yesterday that a fairly well-known, I'm not going to say who it is, but a fairly well-known organization right here in Meriden, Connecticut, did not cover some of their vehicles for a while because of budget. Now, what would your response be to someone like that?
Don't do it, because it's better to pay that extra portion than it potentially have a multi-million-dollar loss. Because if you get so just say a vehicle, if one of those vehicles caused an accident, somebody like our friend Bob Gould, when it's a business, will sue everything for everything as much as possible. Just because it's a business, they tend to have more assets, and so that's why I would just tell them not to do it. Just get it, suck it up, cut budget somewhere else.
But is it really not affordable? In most cases, the insurance coverage is not that expensive, right?
It's all relative.
Yeah, it's all relative. So it really depends. There's a lot of factors that go involved. But I always try to argue that insurance is cheap no matter what. Because if you realize what it's really protecting, so for a business owner aspect, it's protecting how they make money. So if your business gets caught up in a lawsuit and you're deemed negligent and you have to pay and you have no business, that's a lot worse than paying the $2,000 a year for that insurance policy that could have helped you protect against that.
And I would, and Eugene has, I've heard these conversations, let business owners know that if they can't properly afford to insure themselves, they shouldn't be doing that type of work yet. So an example would be, a contractor that a general contractor, to insure them as a roofer is very, very expensive. So maybe subcontract out some of that work until your business is at a point where you can properly insure the risk at hand. Because if that person was to go on the roof without proper coverage and say he doesn't put the shingles on right and there's a huge leak in the house or one of his employees falls off, he's putting his entire business at risk, not just that one small aspect of that. So if one of those cars got into an accident, it's not just replacing that vehicle. It's what about what unlimited amount of liability of an accident could that uninsured vehicle have caused?
Okay. Now, what about cyber liability? Because we hear about this all the time in the news. Target gets hacked, or Walmart
Yeah.
gets hacked, or somebody gets Blue Cross Blue Shield got hacked a few months back. So everybody's getting hacked these days.
Mhm.
Is cyber liability insurance expensive, or is that a relative again? Or
All relative. So we have cyber liability policy. We got ours for $385 or 385 I think it was. So a lot of times you can add some cyber liability onto a regular business owner's policy for as little as like $80. Or you can do a standalone, and it can be anywhere from like 500 to thousands depending on how big what we call the exposure is. So for example, a software engineering firm probably has a lot of cyber liability exposure, same as a company like Target and Home Depot, because they have so many transactions of credit cards and huge data files of clients' information.
so you're saying that the Pentagon should probably call you guys for cyber liability insurance?
Yes,
All right, I know a couple guys there. I'll holler at them.
probably a couple million. They're probably also self-insured somehow, but that's a different topic.
All right, so let's switch gears a little bit and move over to personal lines of insurance. Josh, what is one of the biggest misconceptions you hear when it comes to automotive coverage, or one of the biggest mistakes that people make in coverage?
The word or the phrase full coverage. There is no such thing as full coverage when it comes to auto insurance. It does not exist. The typical use of the phrase full coverage is when somebody is referring to the fact that they are paying for comprehensive and collision coverages for their own vehicle. But when it comes to liability, there is no such thing. If I were to hit a group of pedestrians who are med students at Yale, I mean, their loss of income for the rest of their life at this point is incalculable. So even if I have $250,000 on my normal auto policy plus $1 million umbrella, I'm covered for 1.25. But what if I hit 5-6 pedestrians and each of them needs 2-3 million just to cover their income? You never know if you have enough insurance. So the use of the phrase full coverage is just the biggest issue out there. And I hear insurance agents using that term, and it infuriates me.
So you do talk to your clients about that, and I can give just from personal experience, my own experience. We back about 2.5 years ago, it was before my last daughter was born. My wife was actually pregnant. We got in an accident. It was snowing. We lost control of the car. Car was totaled. Obviously, because she was pregnant, visibly pregnant, they took her to the hospital by ambulance. And that was not covered by our insurance, and I did not know that. So is that something you guys talk to insurance or people about, making sure they have those things?
Yeah, we usually, I on all my policies, especially the first year clients with the agency, I like to do face-to-face appointment, and I go through and go over specifics about each coverage and try to give examples in each thing. So when somebody's signing up with us for that, I try to really make sure that they know exactly what they're signing. And it's one of those reasons I hate, we represent Progressive, but I hate the quote yourself and name your price tool, because honestly, there are certain things in life, and I think insurance is one of them, that you shouldn't do yourself. You really should have a professional looking at it. And I would say the same thing about, I would see an estate planning attorney for a will. I wouldn't do my will online either. And it's nothing against the websites that offer that you can do them. It's just people are professionals for a reason, and I think you should utilize those professionals in your life.
So no LegalZoom will? Damn it.
Mm-mm.
It's tough. I mean, unless you have prior experience in it and you have a good grasp on what you did, then I wouldn't do it. So, now that we're in the insurance business, if we left the insurance business and we were to go to name your price tool, it's different. We have experience selling, so we know what we would be buying. But for the everyday consumer out there that, again, with that knowledge of what full coverage means, who knows what they're going to put on themselves? And we've seen it. We've seen somebody who has a $1 million home have state minimum insurance coverages because they think they can't come after their ex.
That was actually my next question is what about homeowners insurance? What some of the more common misconceptions or mistakes?
There's a very cheap endorsement out there. It's called personal injury. I think that's one of the biggest things that people need to make sure they have on there. It covers something like slander and libel, which may not to the everyday person seem important, but with social media being the way it is right now and the litigious society we live in, it's a very, very cheap way to make sure you're covered because that is not something that is covered under your standard homeowner's policy.
And then I'd like to add just one thing on the homeowners is what a lot of agents miss and people don't know about, especially this is really prevalent in the Northeast, is ordinance of law coverage. Yep. So what that says is, for example, your house gets a loss. And in order to bring it up to code, you have to rewire your entire house because your wiring is now not up to code. The insurance company will only pay for the damaged portion. So the rest of the rewiring of your house is all out of your pocket. If you add that ordinance or law coverage, it will give you some coverage for that. And being that in Northeast, we have a lot of older homes and codes change all the time, it's a huge coverage that a lot of agents miss, and it's really inexpensive.
Yeah, I've heard that before. I don't know if that was you that I've heard it from before.
Probably.
But I've definitely heard that before where somebody's house, half a house burnt down, but because the other half wasn't up to code, the insurance company only covered the half that was burnt down.
Yep.
And they had to pay for the rest.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I have heard that before. If you can, so we're going to just go to the business side here a little bit. If you can attribute one factor to your success to date, what would it be?
Having the referral network that I have, that's pretty much, that's been the biggest reason why we're successful is just the referral network. Having the people to just trust us and refer us business, those are being what Colleen was talking about, the attorneys, CPAs, mortgage people, other agents that can't provide a solution that we can just because we're independent. Like Josh said, the farmers agents, state farms, they have strict guidelines. So if it doesn't fit their guidelines, they can't help a client out versus us. We can, being that we're independent, we have more markets. So I think that's probably one of the biggest factors of success. And then on a personal level is I like to learn and I like to understand things from the nuts and bolts all the way up. So that allows me to have the confidence in what I do and in insurance to be able to sell and come up with solutions for people.
Josh?
Sorry, I answered the phone.
I was going to say that too.
One of the biggest things I would say that has always been important for Eugene and I is delivering the promise. We make a promise to every client, and I think we do an unbelievable job about that. And clients have followed us each step of the way to new companies, and they only do that because they buy into what we do on a day-to-day basis for them. So I think that's been the biggest thing in my career. Early on, it was, cold call and work internet leads, and I've turned those into unbelievable clients to this day. We don't purchase leads anymore, but my clients stay very loyal to us and refer a lot of business, and asking for referrals is a huge, huge component.
And the flip side of that, one thing you wish you knew before you started your business.
Josh, you have an answer for it? I'm still trying to think.
I'm trying to.
there's so many. It's just I'm trying to come up with.
I'll go with a little bit of a funny and but true one. The first office we set ourselves up in, nobody had been in that office for 2 years prior, and the electricity wasn't on. So I wish I had known that that building didn't have heat,
Huh.
and that the landlord was not going to fix it. So that kind of set us back in the beginning 3 months until we found a location that was both in our price range in the same area, and that did have heat because it was in the middle of winter when that happened.
Yeah.
I think something I wished I not so much knew but did earlier in my career is join like a referral group like a BNI.
I got one more I'd add to it too because we talked quickly about how Eugene and I do different aspects within the business, even though we're business partners. And I don't think anyone really understands how difficult commercial insurance is to do as a career. You get very well compensated for it, but there are a lot of nuances in commercial insurance you don't get in the personal line side. Like they'll give you certain coverage and then take it away on exclusions, and then there's an endorsement that'll put a little bit of it back on, and you can negotiate price and do all this kind of thing. So I've always shied away from the commercial insurance. And because I was in the very beginning, Eugene's really only mentor in it, he followed me and agreed with me. But he has that engineer brain mentality where he's really good at digging in deep and analyzing and coming up with solutions in that aspect. And it took us a year where we declined commercial insurance or referred it out. And then we sent Eugene to a 3-week boot camp of commercial insurance. And the growth that we've had because of that has been unbelievable. So if we had done that earlier and not declined the commercial, we would have not only a year's worth more of sales, but experience. So I think that's one thing I would have done sooner is had him take over the commercial side earlier.
So you're telling me Eugene is built for what most people would consider to be boring. I get it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So this one is for you, Eugene. As I was researching you guys a little bit today, this is going to be a tough one for Eugene. Sorry. I unearthed an arrest record from when you were 13. You were busted for selling lemonade without a license. You want to comment on that?
What?
I mean, I can show it in the screen here if you want.
Please show on the screen. I have no idea what that.
You were selling lemonade without a license. I mean, at 13.
Sometimes when you're young, you make silly mistakes, but you do what you have to do to make a buck.
How much time did you do for that?
3 days.
3 days. Yeah, it's tough.
Yeah.
We got. It also affects the value multiple ratio of book. If you look. Oh, you're talking to Justin there, aren't you, Josh?
Yep.
So we do have another insurance broker in the room, but you guys, I think he's in the UK or something. So the rules are probably a little bit different, I would imagine. I don't know.
Just a little bit.
Yeah, he's in the UK, so he I don't know.
It's still insurance. It's still doing the same thing.
I mean, if I was living in Mother Russia, I probably don't need insurance. I don't know. Do they have insurance there, Eugene?
They probably do now, but it's probably so messed up and not right, and I'm trying to think, we're corrupt that it's pretty much not insurance. It's probably just a scam.
Oh, all right. So it's time. If you've been on this show before, you know we have a fire round, 4 quick questions for you guys to answer, and we're going to have a little fun with this one too, I think. So this one, Eugene, I want you to answer first, and then Josh can chime in after. But did Josh cry when Carolina lost?
I wasn't there, but I would go with yes, probably a couple tears were shed.
I was more angry than cried because of how bad they played, and I more angry. I think I stormed out of my girlfriend's house and just got in the car and drove.
You weren't like that guy. I saw a guy on Facebook where
No, it wasn't the angry grandpa.
Okay. So sure. That guy's a little nuts.
I think and if you follow me on social media, I know Scott does. I was more trying, I believe in equality, and I was more trying and hoping that for everyone's sake, Cam Newton would have won and shown that he is a actual quarterback, and that type of style of play doesn't need to be different than the way it was in the past. You can have a different type of quarterback and be successful. So I was more upset that I was going to have to listen to people bash Cam Newton because of how bad the offense played.
So you know the answer to that, right? I think I actually posted this on Facebook, and I hate to get political on here, but everybody focused on what Cam Newton did and what Beyonce did, but nobody's focusing on what's going on in Flint, Michigan. So
Agreed.
That's the answer. Let's focus on the real problems.
Yep.
This one, now that we just took a turn for the serious, this one is for Josh first and then Eugene. Does Eugene just check into Edge as he's driving by?
No, I have seen Eugene, when he gets going in any physical thing, becomes very involved. So he used to do Krav Maga and the gym and P90 all at the same time. So I do trust that he is there doing his whatever Bikram yoga he checks in every single night. I would say he probably has a list of them ready to go too.
Bikram yoga is brutal, by the way. And I did Krav Maga for a little while too, so I need to get back into it. But you know what they're offering at Valentin now, I just found out yesterday, is Cage Fitness.
Interesting.
Yeah, so I might check that out. Eugene.
Yes.
Since Josh didn't throw you under the bus, I guess it's true you're at the Edge when you actually check in.
Yes, I am.
This is for both of you. Vanilla Ice or Britney Spears?
Are we talking about their music or?
Yeah.
Okay, I mean, because
hey.
If it's just to look at, I'm picking Britney Spears, but I'm picking Vanilla Ice. He did have the Ninja Turtle rap song.
I have to go with Britney Spears. So here's why. When I was younger, like 13 or 14, whenever it was, my grandma used to make me clean because I used to live in Florida. So I used to come up here in the summers, and my grandma used to clean before I could go play outside. And I would listen to the Britney Spears CD while I cleaned. So I have to go with Britney Spears.
Oh, what a warm and fuzzy moment. Don't you want to just give Eugene a hug right now? Josh, give him a hug. You're right there in the same building as him.
Mm-hmm.
All right, last one. Last video you watched on YouTube. Or Facebook, either one.
My son takes over my YouTube, so it was, I'm sure, wrestling related.
I'm trying to think what the last thing.
Bit of a wrestling fanatic, Josh, aren't you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of the last video I watched.
I was big when it was Rock and Stone Cold.
I can't remember the last video I watched. I usually don't watch a full video. I don't really do a video.
You're that guy. You're the guy that makes people pay for watching 3 seconds of a video.
Yeah.
Nice, Eugene. Real nice. You're the reason that my clients have to pay for a higher pay-per-click. Thanks, Eugene. All right, guys. Thank you for coming on. Thank you for taking the abuse today. How can people get a hold of you if they want to get a quote, want to talk to you about their coverage? And you guys are always open to talking to people about their coverage, making sure that they have the right coverage, right?
Yeah. All our quotes, our time is free. So anyone who has questions, just even general questions, have them reach out to us. Our website, TraegerInsurance.com. You can quote yourself right there. It gets some of the information in there, or our phone number contact is all in there as well.
Facebook, they can quote themselves on our Facebook page as well. They can contact us on Facebook. There's Twitter, Google Plus. Even now, starting to get into Snapchat. So we have pretty much any way they want to get a hold of us, they can pretty much can.
Instagram too. You're on Instagram. I saw you.
Yes, Instagram too.
All right, so next Friday we're going to be live again, 10 a.m. Eastern, and next Friday we're going to talk to a startup called Network in Golf. We're going to learn what that's all about. Eugene is a golfer. Josh, do you golf?
I get out there. My girlfriend's a member at Lyman, so I'm hoping to get out there a lot more this year.
Oh, nice. Lyman's a good course. I shouldn't say Eugene's a golfer. He's better than me, but
I golf. I'm not a golfer.
right.
Two different things.
You're probably better than me, though.
I guess we'll just have to play.
So, again, that's next Friday, 10 a.m. Eastern, live, only here on Blab and growthsuccessradio.com. If you want to watch this episode or previous episodes, they will be on growthsuccessradio.com, iTunes, YouTube, Google Play, pretty much anywhere a podcast or video would be stored, except for Vimeo because I'm not paying for that. And Roxanne, I will try to get a health insurance person on in the future. I do know a couple, so we'll see what we can do about that. Huh? What was that?
We know a couple.
You know a couple?
So we know. We have one. We have Jay, and we have one.
Jay is who I was thinking about. And then there's another one I know. But yeah, we'll try to get one on so that maybe you can have some questions. She was going to give you a hard time. I don't know. Jay can handle that.
No.
No, I don't know. So until next week, everybody, have a good one. Have a good weekend.